After you have now understood the system here, we now can work with our real base layer, and for this I need a wood. So where do we get wood? One idea would be that you start importing textures into this shelf. You can do it here with this import button here and search on your hard drive for different textures which you maybe have used for your normal rendering work. So you can use your base color, your roughness, your normals and so on, and drop them here into the slots and to mix material like that. But the real power of the Substance package is that we have a mixture of materials which are generated from 3D scans, or on the other side procedurally through, for example, Substance Designer. And you don't need Substance Designer for that, because we have a whole bunch here of materials in our shelf, but yeah, not maybe the right one. And if you want to get more, there are two good sources which you can use in the internet, and one or two sources how you can build them without deep knowledge of Substance Designer. The old way was a tool from Algorithmic, the maker of Substance, which was named Bitmap to Material. You can download it if you have an older license of Substance, so you can find it there, and for this you drag only your textures in and the material is built out of that, and you can remove highlights and make it tileable and so on. Or the new version would be Alchemist, a new tool from Substance, and yeah, this is then part of the package which you subscribe if you want to have an algorithmic subscription from Adobe. If you then want to download something predefined, there are two sources which you directly can use. One is Substance Share, which is free. So Substance Share is the old platform where you have free materials which users can upload. And here you find, if you go here to wood, some wood materials, and you can look through them, and maybe you find something which is a good base for the next step. If you have a subscription, you can use Substance Source, which is more modern, and you have much more materials and assets here. And so I type in here wood, and you find a whole bunch of wood materials here. And so I started here by searching, for example, only materials so that I don't get other assets or atlases. And then you can look here through. You can also say, I only want to have the scan-based woods, so much more realistic here. And you see, it's not the strongest part in the moment of Substance Source, but the procedural library is much bigger here. But it's okay, I think the procedural look great. So I searched a little bit here in the whole thing, and I found two wood types which I liked. And here under my assets, if you look into them here, let's go here in my own stuff. You see here I used for testing purposes the European ash here, and also the American chestnut, and I think I ended with that here. If you download this, you get an archive. You see it here. These are my two archives which I downloaded it, Wood European and Wood American chestnut. And what you can do then is you go into your Substance Painter, and you can go here to import, add resources, and then I go here to my desktop and I load now these two archives, or you can use drag and drop. You end in this dialog here where you have to tell now the system what kind of resources these are. You can select both by holding down the Shift key, and then you click here and tell now the system what this is. It's base material for both. And then here under import your resources to, you have to decide if you only want to use these Substance in this session. So if you close Substance Painter, open it again, they are gone if you have not used it. So you don't lose it in your project, but in the shelf they are only in this session. Or you can store it with this project if you like, or you can say bring it permanently into the shelf so that I can use it all the time. So these are the three ways. I say bring them into the project. I click here import, and then here the selector is now on import, and we still have our fill layer here. And the cool thing is you can now drag it here onto the material node, or you can be lazy and make a double click. And so this node here is now added here to the fill layer, and now you see this ash here. We can now look into the parameters of this edge, because this here is from Substance Designer. The author has added parameters so that you can change some things. For example, maybe you don't like the color too much. You can go into the color and saturate or desaturate the whole thing, you see. Yeah, it changes the look. Then we have the veins, how contrasty you want to have them. And if Substance Painter has to calculate, you sometimes see here a red bar. You have to wait until the calculation is done. So give it a little bit of time. And we also have here some finishing types. Interesting. So old, for example, or yeah, something else. So this is something you can play with and find maybe something which you like. I used at the end these American chestnuts, so I make a double click here to load this here now. And yeah, the first thing I saw here is I like the structure, but I don't like the color. So I click here on the color, desaturate the whole thing a little bit, and now you see it has to calculate. So yeah, bring it down here a little bit. I don't want to have it such saturated. If you want, you can now change anything here, but yeah, let's wait until we come to the point that we really want to change something here. Another thing which is now really important, I press the F key to frame and go in again, is that you maybe see here the seam, and this is something you don't like. So what you can do is you can go here to the projection of this layer, and it's the same like in the 3D program. The material is 2D, object is 3D. So we have a UV map going on, and somewhere on the UV map, if you look here into the 2D, we have these seams, and in our case, the seam is here. So how to get rid of that? You can later retouch this with, for example, here the stamp and so on, or we can try to use a different projection. So same like in 3D program. So we have the UV projection here, we have scale, rotate, offset, so we can move the map and so on. And you maybe have seen that in the moment I've opened here the 2D view, we have here this widget, and this is really cool because this is the transform widget. So if you don't want to work with these elements here, rotate and so on, you can now take these here, move the pivot around, you can scale here. If you grab outside here, you can rotate and so on. If you want to reset all the stuff you've done, you can go here and try it here, or the fast way is here. There's a widget dialog and you can reset the changes here. You can mirror horizontally or vertically. Here you see we also can reset the pivot if we move this. And here is the size of this widget. So if it's too big or annoying, you can change that here. And if you want to get rid of the widget at all, you can use this button here. Okay, so this is one way we can get rid of the seam, or what we can do is we use a different kind of projection. So if you open this up here, you see we have, beside of the UV projection, a planar projection. And for this, it's really important to tell now the system where the plane is, or you can use a spherical projection, which doesn't work at all for our object. And the coolest one, which I use all the time, is Tri-planar. Tri-planar means that you have 3 planes which are used for projecting, and the border between these planes is blurred. I can show you that with the hardness here. I bring the hardness up to 1. And if you now take a look, I switch back here to 3D only so that you see it better. You now see where these planes hit each other, and you see a sharp edge here. You can now go in here and activate here my widget and start then here, for example, rotating. So you rotate now your 3 planes here, and you can try to hide this. But the cool thing in Tri-planar is if you found something which you like, and for example, I don't like here the direction here, so I rotate this. I hold down the control key here to bring it first in this direction, and then I bring it maybe to this here. So that's nice. But now I want to get rid of this edge. You can go in here and now bring the hardness down. And this system now blurs this edge here, and you see it really vanish. And if you do it with the right rotation and the movement and the blurriness, you really can get rid of ugly seams if you like. Okay. It's done. I think it's still a little bit big. Let's try a little bit scaling here. You can use the same keyboard shortcuts like in Maya, so E, R, and W. And if I go here to R, you see here scale widget. I go here into the middle and scale now to make it a little bit smaller. And if you want, for example, this detail here at the other place, press the W key and move it. Now you can move it where you want to have it. Yeah, that's it. That's the creative part of it. And so we now have here our first base. Let's go back to the fill. I activate all channels so that I have filled everything. And if you want to check what this layer contributes now to the whole result, remember that we can switch here to the single channels. I do it with the C key normally, so I first look into the base color. So this is the color contribution, C again, height, roughness, metallic, normal map, and combined. So if you want to check what's going on and you maybe want to change something or deactivate or activate something, you can do it here. I press the M key at the end, and now we have our base color done. And in the next lesson, we now want to add a little bit more life to this extremely clean wood. And that's the thing we do in the next lesson. See you.